Welcome to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. Paul is President and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, how are you today?
I'm great every day, Cynthia. You know that.
I'm great every day as well. I'm always excited to see you in the studio because I know that we have such important topics to talk about. Obviously, all going around one specific thing, planning properly for retirement. But you have a very interesting thing that you want to talk about this morning. In fact, I'm concerned, what are you thinking about with transitioning into corporate dominant world? That's interesting. So what do you mean exactly by that?
Well, you know, my views and perspectives are not always very mainstream. I'm very much of a research geek and nerd, and I pride myself on being very well informed. And I think we're watching a major transition in life and society today that not enough people are paying attention to, and they're not paying attention to it because basically most of the population is, you know, on mainstream media, and mainstream media outlets are definitely not talking about this or pointing it out, and why would they, right? But this emergence of corporate domination in our lives and in government and in politics is just, it's something that a lot of people out there need to be a little more aware of, and they need to keep their eye on. There's a lot going on right now. People are unaware. For instance, a lot of our viewers probably have even seen in the news recently, BlackRock began buying family dwellings, right? And now you got to understand, this is kind of a sticky area because I believe in free market capitalism, and I believe that is the best type of society we've created today to work the best and innovate and move forward and work freely for people. But today we don't truly have free market capitalism because the governments and the corporations and the lobbyists are so intertwined that it's really no longer a free market. And so now we got to take a step back and kind of keep an eye on some of these corporations and things that they're doing, because, you know, like BlackRock buying up all the home dwellings of individuals. Well, some people would say, well, yeah, you know, that's their right. And I agree. If they have the money and they want to purchase something, free market, they should be allowed to go and purchase whatever they want, right? But they are buying up neighborhoods, entire suburbs right now. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of homes. And you got to think, what are the future consequences to that, to the everyday working Joe, right? To the average American, you know what their biggest investment in their entire life is, right?
Their home.
Yes.
Their home, absolutely. So I have to ask you, Paul, when they're coming in, when BlackRock is coming in, are they purchasing and the people are agreeing to this, or are they just taking over like an eminent domain situation?
No, they're purchasing.
Okay.
So there's no domination, no eminent domain or anything of that nature. It's just people need to, I personally believe there should be some type of regulation in there or something that watches that, because what happens when a major corporation who has bazillions of dollars buys up all of the homes out there that individuals can't purchase anymore? First of all, they're buying them up for a reason, because they're going to rent them to you at a higher price, right? So that's hurting the working man. But also now they're going to drive the prices of home values up so much, and the banks are going to get so strenuous on financing because they don't need to finance homes, and it's so much risk to finance it to an individual when BlackRock can just buy the whole neighborhood.
Sure.
That what's going to end up is, you know, most people, the biggest thing that ever happens in their life is buying that home. That's their biggest investment.
Of course.
That is how most families move up the economic scale. Right? They pay for that home in their lifetime, and over a lifetime, then their next generation gets it, and they get to move up. And that's the old idea in America, was that's how families and generations keep moving forward and moving up the economic scale.
Sure.
But that's about to be taken from us, you know, and that's just one small example of the corporate dominance that's going on out there today. But, I mean, I think some of these things are really significant and that people should pay attention to it. not only that, retirees should be focusing on these things because all it is doing is creating a more and more volatile market,
Absolutely.
right? Exposing the retirees to more and more risk out there, and it's limiting the investments and the potential for the retirees, the savers, and the investors. It's all being gobbled up by corporations today. You know, and the problem is they're so powerful today that they can manipulate anything they want. You know, I know, and I don't want to get too into detail. We don't get into that too much, but if you look at the cryptocurrency space and what's been happening over the last few months, you know, everybody, what happened to Bitcoin? Why did Bitcoin fall to the bottom? It's corporate manipulation. It's the big boys coming in. You know, when they can push $1.5 billion into a market, a Bitcoin market that's only $1 trillion cap, and the push of a button, they influence that market. They can drop the price of Bitcoin. Well, they drop the price of Bitcoin $10,000. Your average investor out there freaks out because they don't know enough. They're not educated enough. They probably shouldn't be invested in that because they're not educated enough. They freak out and they sell. Well, you just handed it to them because now they get to rebuy it $10,000 down. They buy it back down. They run it back up. They sell off again. And it just continues to happen. And it's, you know, it's just a shame for the average person who see things like buying stocks or buying cryptocurrencies as a way for them to economically advance themselves and their families. But then they can't because they go in and they buy some Bitcoin and think it's a great idea. And that Bitcoin gets manipulated by large corporations and large investors. And so,
Paul, I have to ask you, are you getting a lot of questions from your clients regarding cryptocurrency and if it's a good investment choice for them personally?
Yes, we get a lot of them. And, you know, we always have to be careful what we say and what we don't say publicly. You know, we've got compliance and things of that nature. But I think highly that it is time for clients and for people out there to be looking at alternative investments. Now, I'm not saying go put your nest egg in it. Right. But you should have some portion of your savings and your investments in alternative investments because basically the financial system, honestly, is broke right now. And stocks, bonds, and treasuries, no matter which way you go, people are going to suffer significant losses going forward over the next few years. And it's time to start looking at what are some alternative places to put my money. You know what? Look at cryptocurrencies. Entertain the idea of cryptocurrencies. Entertain the idea of fixed index annuities. You know, entertain the idea of different alternative investments that are not the brokerage house's traditional go-to investments. And I think that's a great idea for everyone today. Yeah.
Well, Paul, I know that we're going to be opening up the phone lines in just a few moments and that you have a very special offer that you would like to present to the viewing audience today. Let's talk a little bit about that and then go ahead and open up the phone lines for the first time.
Okay, great. Yes. You know, one thing is that all of our clients love is that not only are they getting the holistic plan that we offer, and they know that they'll know where they'll be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the future, but it's also that experience they get, that first-class service and 5-star experience that every client experiences with us. They know that when they walk in our office, it's a place full of love and that we want the best for them and our intentions are the highest for them. So anyone out there in our viewing audience today, if you have some doubt, if you're wondering, if you just don't feel that same element of support and success, and whoever gives you your financial advice, here's your opportunity. Do you have enough confidence in them to get a second opinion? If you do, we're really good at giving second opinions. Here's your opportunity. Pick up the phone. If you're one of the next 15 callers who call right now, what we'll do for you is a complete summarization of your current place. We'll look at where you are today, where you're going, what are any red flags or any alerts that you should be aware of, what are any dangers to your future success in retirement. We'll bring those to the surface. We'll share them with you. But not only that, we'll share solutions, strategies, and things that can orient you to be in the driver's seat towards success in retirement. So if you have any question out there, if you have any doubt, don't go another day with that doubt in your mind. You should have enough confidence in your advisor to get a second opinion, and if you don't, that's a good reason for you to pick up the call right now. Give us a call, sit down with one of our all-star advisors, let's have a warm conversation, and let's get you on track to retire right.
Paul, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 228-388-2031. We know you have a lot of questions about how to retire with confidence and retire comfortably. Paul and his all-star team are providing those answers to you. All you have to do is take advantage of the opportunity. 228-388-2031 is the number to call. And when we come back, I'm going to talk to Paul a little bit more about how to properly plan for your retirement, so please stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. He's president and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, a wonderful show that we're having today, obviously talking about looking at alternatives, if you will, for some investment styles. But let's also talk a little bit about something that you just mentioned before we were going into the commercial break. Second opinion. Why is a second opinion so important from a fresh set of eyes?
Well, if your life was on the line, you would get a second opinion, right?
Sure.
And when it comes to retirement, your life is on the line, right?
Absolutely.
If this is what this is, if these are the means you have to live out the rest of your life, then don't you want to know that those means are going to make it? Don't you want to know that you're going to make it? You know, I highly value a second opinion. I'll share with you a little personal story. When my first daughter, my oldest daughter, when her mother was pregnant, the doctor, we knew there was some issues, and we thought she was going to have some significant health issues. They told me she was going to be born with Down syndrome. Now, I was a non-traditional family. I was a very young father. I was 20 years old when the doctor's telling me I'm going to have a Down syndrome child, and I thought just having a child at age 20 was enough on my plate, much less having, health difficulties and those challenges the rest of her life. And, I prayed a lot and I hoped a lot. And thank God, by the time she was born, there were none of those difficulties, but she had problems, and she didn't have one kidney was not functioning. And she had severe kidney problems there. Well, all through the pregnancy, the last few months, we had to go see the doctor weekly. Then when she was born, we had to see the doctor twice a week for them to keep maintaining and watching the functionality of her kidneys, because it was severe and very dangerous to her life.
Sure.
And we did that for about 6 months. And after about 6 months, I was a very young man then, and I went to work at 5 a.m. every morning. So driving back and forth out of state to the hospital, it wore me down, right?
Sure.
And one day I fell asleep in the doctor's office while he was talking to me. And he said, "Son, you got to go home and rest yourself. You need to worry about yourself." And I said, "Well, I'm worried about my daughter." And he said, "Yeah, but you're going to kill yourself worrying about your daughter." He said, "Look, I'll tell you what, I want you to take a month off. I don't want you driving over here." We were driving to Alabama to the hospital twice a week. He says, "Too much on you. You need to get some rest. I want you to take a month off." And to a tired man, it sounded great. So I left the doctor's office. And, okay, we'll take a month off. As we're going home, it dawned on me. I guess come to me. I said, "Wait, we've needed to see you, and you've needed to monitor her and her kidney function every week for the last 6 months. And now it's okay to just take a month off?" And so I started questioning what he said. So instead of going home and resting, I kept driving. We went straight over to Tulane in New Orleans. When we got to Tulane in New Orleans, the doctor took her back and, did some tests and checked her and did a lot of things. And she's an infant, only 7 months old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back and he said, well, where are y'all's bags? And I said, what do you mean our bags? We don't have any bags. We just wanted you to check her out. He said, oh, you can't leave the hospital. Her kidney will burst within the next 24 hours. And we've got to go into emergency surgery today. And thank God that we had gotten that second opinion, or she wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
And that doctor was so amazing, and we owe him everything. Because today I have a beautiful, bright, intelligent young lady, and we're very proud. But that's the value of a second opinion.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely. And
when
God
it
was
comes to
watching
your
over
life
your
and health,
family, Paul.
Yeah, when it's your life and your health, you would do it. Well, your retirement planning is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the life and health of you and your family.
Absolutely.
Let's make sure you're on track. Let's make sure you don't have any things that could pop up that you're unaware of or unprepared for. There are so many pitfalls that you can make in your retirement planning that you need to make sure you're not making any.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story with us, because obviously everyone in the viewing audience right now is thinking about what you went through personally, and that obviously you had the insight to go ahead and just take that leap of faith and go to the different hospitals. So thank you for sharing that. So if someone is in the viewing audience today and perhaps they've been working with their current advisor for so many years that they're a little nervous to get a second opinion, can you share some insight on what they should be thinking as well?
Yes, definitely. Well, first of all, nervousness, as we've spoke on previous shows, and we've done shows on what should you look for in an advisor, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be nervous in the office you walk into, but when you walk into our office and you meet our team and you find out how passionate they are about providing that success to you, and what all-stars they are, and how much they really do care about your best interest in your future, you should start feeling that fade away at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And if you walk into a financial office and that doesn't fade away, it intensifies, or you feel more insecure or unsure, then you should probably walk out of that financial office, right?
Absolutely.
But also there's several things to look at and think about. Why would I need a second opinion? I'd say the first thing, and the first thing off top of my mind is, if whoever you seek financial advice from has not been talking to you about future taxation and about significantly increasing taxes going forward and how they're going to affect your retirement, we've only got this current tax bill for 3 to 4 more years.
Yeah.
And then it sunsets. When that bill sunsets, where do you think taxes are going to be? Has your current advisor had conversations with you about it? Are you planning? Are you putting strategies in place to protect you and your family from future taxation? If not, then why not?
Yeah.
And when should you have that conversation, right? I think that'd be a great reason to get a second opinion today.
I do too, Paul. I couldn't agree more. And I know that you have a special offer that you're going to present to the viewers at home today. Let's talk a little bit about that and then open up the phone lines for the second time.
If you're one of those viewers out there who's just saying, what they're saying makes sense, it resonates with me, maybe I do need a second opinion. If you have had that thought, then the answer is yes, you definitely do need a second opinion. Because if you were a client of Roberts Wealth Management and you knew where you were going to be in the next 5, 10, 20 years, you knew what the future looked like for your family, and you understood the financial planning, then you would not have that feeling, okay? So if you have that feeling or you have any doubt, here's your opportunity to get a second opinion. Pick up the phone right now. For the next 15 callers, what we'll do for you is a full-blown comprehensive review of your current situation. We'll analyze what it's costing you to work with your current advisor or firm. We'll do a portfolio analysis, bring to the surface those hidden fees and commissions you may not be aware of. Not just what they tell you you're paying, what are you truly paying for your portfolio? We'll also discover, what does your risk look like? What does the downside or the drawdown in a bad market look like to your retirement savings? Is your performance in line with the risk that you're taking? In other words, are you getting enough bang for your buck? If so, or if not, that'll come out in this analysis. We'll also look at we'll get into income planning, make sure you can keep the same standard of living the rest of your life. That income planning will offset future inflation, future taxation. Then we'll bring it all the way down to estate planning, and how do we pass that money on to the next generation and keep as much of our family nest egg in our family as possible. You're moving out of the accumulation stage of life into the defend and distribute stage of life. That's what we do all day, every day. Come in and see one of our All-Star Advisors today, and we can help you retire right.
Paul, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are once again now open. That number to call is 228-388-2031. We know you have a lot of questions about how to retire comfortably and retire with confidence. Paul has the answers for you. Again, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call 228-388-2031. When we come back, I want to talk to Paul a little bit further about legacy planning. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. He's president and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, a great show we're having today and just talking about a variety of different things. Wanted to ask you specifically about how important legacy planning is right now for retirees.
Well, I hate to be the guy to answer a question with a question, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, I'm all about provoking thought, and I love to expand people's minds. So I'm gonna turn the question back to you for our viewer audience, and let's see what they think, right?
Okay.
How important is legacy planning today? What does this country's debt look like? Mm-hmm. We're knocking on the $30 trillion door today, right?
Exactly.
We're printing money like crazy. We're passing new bills that are going to create a lot more money printing or mm-hmm. money creation. Mm-hmm. We have created 40% of the U.S. dollars in circulation have been created in the last 24 months. What that tells everyone is we're really mismanaging our budget and our financial system, right? Our political leaders are. Okay. Who's going to pay for that, and how are they going to pay for that? Here's a good clue to who they probably suspect can pay for it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We have in the U.S. we have a little over 300 million is our population today, right?
Okay.
A little over 100 million of the 300 million Americans today are baby boomers.
Okay.
Majority of baby boomers' savings is in pre-tax accounts.
401k.
401k. Mm-hmm. And we know that the baby boomer generation, the largest generation ever, 1/3 of our entire population, accumulated the largest mass of wealth ever created by one generation in the entire history of the world. We're about to witness the transfer of that wealth from one next generation to the next. So we're about to witness the largest transfer of wealth from one generation to the next that the entire globe has ever seen historically. So if we've got all this bad debt over here, and we're printing money like crazy and ignoring this bad debt, do you suspect that maybe they're looking at that transfer of wealth from the baby boomer generation to the next generation as a good source of income for the United States government?
Absolutely, Paul.
So if you understand all those facts and the writings on the wall like that, then how important to our viewers is legacy planning?
Yeah.
How important
Crucial.
is it to how are we going to keep that money in our family?
Yeah.
And not give it over to not only the IRS and the government, but the nursing homes, the hospitals,
Yeah.
everyone else, right?
Absolutely.
So legacy planning is very, very, very vitally important today if you care about leaving any legacy going forward. And sometimes I have clients walk in who say, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned with leaving my kids money. And then I simply ask them, well, would you prefer the IRS or your kids? Right?
Great question.
I've never had anybody say they prefer to give the money to the IRS.
Yeah, I can see how that would be.
So,
Yeah, it's like, no.
well, if your preference is your family, when do you think's a good time to get started? As I state all the time, we've got 3 to 4 years left of the current tax bill before it sunsets.
Yeah.
Generally, for us to clean up a tax situation and create a good legacy plan for our family, it takes us a 5 to 10 year period to do our tax repositioning on that money. And if it takes us 5 to 10 years to get you in a good position, and you have 4 years left of the current tax bill, when's a good time to start doing this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
And as we stated earlier, if your current advisor has not talked to you about this,
Yeah.
why not?
Very, very true.
And when's a good time to have the conversation?
Well, I think it's so important because obviously with a holistic retirement plan, Paul, you're uncovering all these pieces and parts that fit into the pie of retirement, if you will. It's not just you're grabbing statements from the mail like some people think that's a plan. That's not a plan at all. It's a holistic
It's
designed
a good first step,
plan.
right?
It's
You
a good
got to
first
have
step.
savings, you got to have a portfolio, but there's
Yeah.
a whole lot more that goes into that, the fundamental financial planning than just having savings in a portfolio. We've got to look forward. We've got to understand what's coming our way and how are we going to strategically plan to take care of us and our family the best way we can through everything we see coming our way.
Okay. Now, Paul, I know we've had a plethora of viewer questions through the weeks, if you will. Let's give that email address if we could.
It's info@robertswealthms.com. And any questions that you want to have aired on the show, just submit them to that email. My team checks that email daily. If you have some questions, they'll give them to us. We'll address them. And on our next show, I think we were talking about that, Ms. Cynthia, right? We're going to
Definitely,
address
Paul.
a whole lot of viewer questions and get a lot of Q&A in there. So if you have any questions, you're sitting home, anything's plaguing you, anything's on your mind, shoot us an email. We'll answer it on the show.
Absolutely. And I'm saying that because obviously with the viewer questions that come in, I do want to devote maybe one show in a later week that's going to be all viewer questions.
Yep.
And people love hearing what your responses are to these questions. So I think it's very important that we got that out there. Well, Paul, we have less than a minute left of the show this week. Any final tidbits of advice you want to give before we close?
I do. Everyone out there should get a second opinion, right?
Okay.
And if you have enough confidence in your plan to get a second opinion, come on in. We'll tell you you're on track. If you're out on track or you don't have enough confidence, you should definitely come in to get a second opinion.
Paul, thank you for another amazing show this week. Most importantly, to the viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us. That number to call is 228-388-2031. Any questions about how to plan properly for retirement, retiring comfortably, Paul and his all-star team have the answers for you. Again, thank you so much for watching. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we will see you back here 1 week from today, same time, same location. Thank you.